Why the two planes collided on a clear autumn evening remains the biggest mystery.
Okay, let's go.
There was no cockpit voice recorder in the King Air. Smaller planes don't require one. But investigators hope to find some answers in the cockpit recording from Flight 5925.
What's the winds down there?
Oh, that's First Officer McCombs.
Winds are 060 at 8, 12 miles of visibility.
Stop. And that's Captain Gackey.
Getting the CVR back in this case was very important. It allowed us to understand what was the tone of the cockpit, what were they doing, was anything missed, trying to understand the sequence of events that occurred.
About 30 miles to the north of the field, inbound for landing runway 13 at Quincy.
So far, so good?
As the Beech 1900 approached Quincy, it made all the required radio calls. Quincy traffic, we're approaching the area, we're this far out. Quincy traffic, we're now this far out.
13 at Quincy. Any traffic in the area, please advise.
Captain Gatkey gives other pilots a chance to let her know if they want to use the runway. She gets no response. More than 3 minutes pass before Laura Brooks radios in from the King Air.
King Air 1127, Delta's taxiing out. Takeoff on runway 4.
Sounds like the student's handling the radio calls.
They're using 4.
Stop. See, that tells me they heard the King Air. They know it was approaching the runway, and they were watching for it.
Kate Gatkey is making all the right calls. But it isn't clear if the pilots in the King Air heard any of them.
We'll be inbound to enter on the left base for runway 13 at Quincy. Any other traffic, please advise.
No response? Where's the King Air?
It's more than 2 minutes before Laura Brooks makes her second and final transmission.
King Air 1127, holding short of runway 4. Taken the runway for departure.
Less than a minute to touchdown. The King Air is still holding. Captain Gatkey double-checks whether the King Air intends to stay put on runway 4 while she lands on 13.
The aircraft gonna hold a position on runway 4. You guys gonna take off.
300.
What investigators hear next comes as a complete surprise.
7646 Juliet, holding for departure on runway 4.
Who the hell's answering her? That's not the King Air.
It's a stunning development. There was a radio call from a second plane waiting to take the runway.
That little communication was critical to what happened on this accident.
Hi, yes, I need some help tracking down a pilot who was at Quincy Airport on November 19th.
Tom Houter is now on the hunt for a mystery pilot.
He was right there when it happened. So we wanted to talk to him. What did you know? What did you see? What was going on?
She knew the King Air was there. She announced her intentions. How did the King Air not get that she was coming in to land?
King Air 1127, Delta's taxiing out. Takeoff on runway 4. They're using 4.
It's clear the United Express crew knew the location of the King Air. It's not clear if the King Air crew ever heard Captain Gatkey, but her plane would have been clearly visible in the sky. Did something prevent the King Air pilots from seeing it? Computer simulations show that posts in the King Air's windscreen might have obstructed the pilot's view.
I think we need to put ourselves in a real plane.
But to be sure, Ivy wants to return to the scene of the crash.
I don't think there's anything better than a pair of eyes in a real situation that is as similar or as close to what occurred during the accident sequence.
David Ivy tries out both pilots' seats in the King Air while in position on runway 4. He watches as a Beech 1900C approaches with its landing lights on.
It flew downwind, made a left turn to a final approach, and we were looking at what we could see. The lights, how visible was the airplane?
I can see you. Clear as day.
It was readily visible the entire time. There were no obstructions due to the window post, whether it was forward or the aft window post.
Landing aircraft always have the right of way. It seems inconceivable that a pilot would roll onto an intersecting runway, knowing a plane was on final approach.
It's incumbent upon you to look both directions before you get out there. We learned that as children crossing the street. Look both ways.
Ivy comes to an astonishing conclusion. The King Air pilots must not have checked for incoming planes before starting down the runway.
You look at something as basic as see and avoid, which pilots are taught from day one. How could that go missing?
Oh, Christ! What the hell?